next genre of literature is poetry. Poetry is a literary form that emphasizes expression of feelings and ideas through rhythm and style. In fact, the key thing in poetry is actually the rhythm and the style. It doesn't follow any narrative like prose. It doesn't have to be acted on a stage like drama. It just has rhythmic pattern or 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 a metallic structure. That's it follows a regular pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. That's what poetry is actually about. Secondly, we have the types of poetry. We have lyric, we have narrative poetry, and we have dramatic poetry. The elements of poetry, just like I stated earlier, one is that it must have a rhythm and a meter. This meter here is like I said, a metric structure that that sound follows a particular pattern. Secondly, we have rhyme. Rhyme is a correspondence of sound. That's a correspondence of sound between words. As example of that, you can see balloon, moon. Those words have similarities in their sound, and rhythm can be found at the end of a particular line, like a line of words. You will see the rhythm of those words as the end, like bloom or gloom. Those words have similar rhyme patterns. A vivid description. The poet hello, can you
Yes,
hear
ma.
me? Of the poet. That's if you've come across this poetic work, Daffodils. The the poet was trying to talk about a certain flower, and with his own imagination, he was also trying to create a picture of what that flower is to the people listening or the person reading the poem. So poetry tries to create these images by the way they express themselves by um what's the word now? So you create these vivid descriptions through to see that picture you have in your mind, you paint it through your selection, your style of writing. Fourthly, we have metaphor and simile, which are figurative languages. And this figurative language is a type of descriptive language used to convey meaning in a way that is different from the actual meaning or literal meaning. Like when a writer doesn't really want what he said to be known literally, you use another way to describe it. We know that metaphor is a direct comparison of words, and simile it's a comparison of words using like or as. Fifthly, we have structure. What forms poetry or what makes up poetry is the structure. That's the form and standard. Because standard poetry always comes in standards and the form. Can we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're moving now to literary ap- appreciation. What is literary appreciation? Firstly,
Sorry, ma'am. We can't really see your slide.
you're not
It's
seeing.
cutting.
I'm so sorry. Can we see it now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we're done with the elements of poetry. Hope we're following that part.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we are moving on to the next slide.
Yes,
Hope everybody's following.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if there's any point you didn't get, please draw my attention back so I can explain better.
Okay, ma'am.
So, literary appreciation. So, literary appreciation is the ability to recognize and understand the values and elements and merits of literary works. That's when you come across any literary piece, your ability to understand what you're reading, your ability to know what the theme is, how it affects you, how it affects the society, and you conceiving this message and passing it on to others. That's literary appreciation. Secondly, literary appreciation encourages deep reading and analysis of text. That's, you don't just read a particular work of art and then you just read it on the surface. Because of literature helps you to understand the depth of the message. Because literature have made us to understand that some works can be divided, like the genres of literature help us to classify these works into drama, into prose, into poetry. So when you're reading a prose, the same mind you come with a different mindset when you are reading poetry. And you that studies, or you that have first-hand knowledge of what literature is, you will not just read it like any other person. You will always be reading every work you come across with depth, because you are trying to guess the message that the writer is trying to pass to us, trying to pass to the readers. Okay, did we get this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes,
the
ma'am.
importance of literary appreciation: one, it develops critical thinking and interpretive skills. That's when you come across any work, any literary piece, you think about it thoroughly without before giving any judgment. You are able to interpret the skill of the writer. You are able to know the place of, like, the writer's mind at the particular point he wrote that. Sometimes you can see a work, a poetic work, and then you know that this writer was actually writing from a place of sadness, because you are able to know his style. Okay, when we go further into this study, you'll be able to understand more about this interpretive skill. Secondly, it fosters empathy and emotional intelligence. Thirdly, it enhances understanding of language and culture. Did we get the last slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's just one person that responded, though.
Yes, mom.
All right. So we've moved on to the tools for literary appreciation. One is the use of literary devices, such as
Ma,
metaphor. Yeah, I can hear you. Someone just called my attention. Is there any problem?
yes, ma.
All
Ma,
right.
please have you explained that element of appreciation, element of literary appreciation?
It's actually importance of literary appreciation.
Okay.
I say literary appreciation helps one to develop critical thinking and interpretive skills. That's when you come across any work of art, you don't just read it like an ordinary person, because number one, when you see a particular literature piece, you will know, okay, this writer um is writing from a place of sadness, is writing from a place, is trying to like be a whistleblower to a certain kind of issue, is trying to bring out a certain thing that is happening in the society. You can be able to know the mind of a writer with because of literature, because you know literature is being classified into different genres. So when you pick a particular piece, you can be able to know, oh, this one is poetry, or this one is drama, or this one is prose. Okay. And then when you pick up a prose, you'll be able to think critically and you'll be able to interpret the writer's mind. That's what literary appreciation means. Do you get?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Now we're moving to the tools of literary appreciation. One, it's the use of literary devices, and these devices are metaphor, simile, irony, symbolism. Now, you know metaphor. Are we following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Metaphor is the direct comparison of a word, of using it's a direct comparison of particular word or person. Like you can say Timini is fat. That's you're trying to um are we following?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. What did you say?
We did not hear what you said last.
I said the literary devices are metaphor, simile, and irony and symbolism. Metaphor is the direct comparison of a word, while simile is comparison of a word using like or as. That's like excuse, like as in um like and as. You can say she's as beautiful as Amina. That's simile. And for an example of metaphor, you can say um Amina is beautiful like the sun. Amina, do we get?
Yes, ma'am.
Irony, it's not giving your actual, like saying the opposite of what you mean. As we go on, we'll come across other literary devices, because you might stumble upon sarcasm, and sarcasm is quite different from irony. And then symbolism, what each work actually represents to either the writer or the reader. Secondly, the critical reading and interpretation, as we have earlier said. Can we move on?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So this slide is talking about how to read a text critically. Firstly, you have to understand the historical and cultural context of the text. Secondly, you analyze the themes. When you come across any literal text, you analyze if this is having it's talking about love, or it's talking about war, or it's talking about a particular culture, so that you understand the text properly. You understand what you're reading. When you're able to identify what the theme is about, definitely the book, or understanding the book, will not be the book, or that literature piece will not be difficult. Also, you analyze the characters and you analyze the structure of the play. Thirdly, how to read a how to read a text critically. You connect personally and critically with it. That you try to make this like like you try to put yourself in the place of the writer. That's how you can read the text critically and understand it. When you put yourself in the place of the writer, you try to see things from the writer's perspective. Okay. So now this slide, we're summarizing the key points of today's lecture. Hope we have been following from the beginning up to this point.
Yes, ma.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
We first talked about the genres of literature, and the genres helps in clarifying and understanding literature. By the different classifications, we are able to understand what is what. When we pick up a prose, we'll know that this is a prose. When we pick up a particular work and say, okay, this is poetry, and we can also identify that this is drama. We cannot call drama prose, and we cannot call prose drama, because we know what each of them are. We know their elements. We know what a drama is characterized by. We know what prose is characterized by. We know what poetry is characterized by, so that we don't make mistakes as an ordinary person would make. Secondly, drama, prose, drama each have unique features, just like I said. Thirdly, literary appreciation enhances understanding and critical engagement. Hope we have followed up to this point.
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, do we have any questions? Any questions?
Yes, ma.
All
Ma, under
right.
that type of prose, I see here this prose something. Are they part of it?
You heard what?
Like they used to sing prose or sing poetry and so on. Are they part of this genres or part
Unseen.
of
I
it?
didn't get you. You said unseen prose.
Yes, ma. Are
What?
they
You
part
said
of the genres of literature or something like that?
no. We just have three genres of literature. That's drama, prose, and poetry. So what you said unseen prose. If I get you correctly, you said unseen prose.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma.
It's a classification of prose. Okay. It has nothing to do with genre. It's under a genre of literature. It's not a genre. You can put it under the types of prose you get.
Okay, ma.
Any other question?
Ma, please, when it comes to answering literature questions, how do we introduce our answers? Like when we start, how do we start our introduction?
Okay, literature is not really like English per se. It's just like a particular branch of English language. So if you are asked to maybe say the theme of a particular let's say a novel, this Independence. There was one time um it was a book for Jambite. So if they say you should write on the theme, you can start it with definitely literature is part of English. So you start it in a proper way. Like if you're asked to list out the theme of the book Independence, you can start by saying the themes of the book are. Am I answering your question?
No, no, that's not what I mean. Like if you are
Okay,
giving a
maybe.
theory question, like
Okay.
probably they give us a question like discuss Robinson Crusoe as a diary of colonialism. How are we supposed to start it? Are we supposed to introduce the book, or we just going to how colonialism was seen in the book Robinson Crusoe? Like how do we start our introduction on literary text when we are asked theoretical questions on them?
Okay, you just go straight to the point. Like, you are asked to describe Robinson Crusoe. Okay, first you say who he
As a
is.
diary of colonialism.
Okay, yes, and then you can just give a little hint of what colonization is first. But then the
Okay.
main thing now is the main issue now is the Robinson Crusoe. You understand the Robinson Crusoe and the other colonization, how both of them you can join both of them now in your answer. I don't know if you
Okay.
understand what I'm saying.
Yes. Ma'am.
Okay.
Mm, thank you, ma.
Any other question? I hope you're cleared on that. Answering literary questions, like literature questions, are not really hard because you just have to really understand what they're asking most times so that you will not write out of context. You get?
Okay, ma'am.
Because
Yes,
most
ma'am.
times if they are trying to tell you just like what you answered now, so they are trying to now
Yeah.
say, okay, what's his part, what part did he play in this particular thing?
Okay.
You understand? So now you will now, if you read the book, you will now be able to
Yes,
get out
ma'am.
everything, all the parts he played, both from how the book started to the end, his part to this. You write it all out and you talk about it. You
Okay, ma'am.
understand? Okay. You always be careful not to write out of context. Always, one thing about literature is an underlining message. You must always pass the message to the reader. You understand?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
other question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What
Ma,
other
I
question?
don't know the elements of poetry. Could you help explain it again?
Okay. Let me go back to the slide. The elements of poetry. Are we on? We are on the same page now. I've gone back to the slide. Hope we are seeing it.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Can we all see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The first, is it a particular thing you want me to explain, or you just want me to explain everything? The person that asked the question. The person that asked the question, please respond. Let me know if you want me to explain everything or there's something in particular you don't understand. While I'm waiting for him to respond, let me just explain. Maybe you can hear later. So the elements of poetry, we have one, rhythm and meter. The rhythm is the pattern of the sounds. Like this pattern of sounds now, it could be consonant sounds, it could be vowel sounds. Okay. Like when you try to check a particular, like in poetry now, a particular standard now, a particular stanza, sorry, not standard, stanza might have all A's being repeated in that stanza. When we go further, we'll know it's assonance. We'll know that okay, when a particular letter is repeated, that's it's trying to follow a particular rhythm or meter. Then secondly, we have rhyme. Rhyme is a correspondence of sound. Like when a particular line is following a particular sound. Like you can say, we all bloomed in the moon. It's flowing a particular sound. Bloom in the moon. Bloom and moon are having the same sound. Like you can check a stanza, if you read a poem and you see that okay, one particular stanza is having a particular sound, repetition of sound, you know that okay, this is a rhythm, it's trying to follow a rhythm here. Thirdly, we have imagery. Imagery is trying to talk about a vivid description. Like when the writer of a particular poem is trying to paint a picture, like maybe he must have gone somewhere now and he have seen a particular thing that has wowed him. I say, okay, let me write about this thing, let me express myself. And then in the verge of him expressing himself, he also wants you to feel what he's feeling or to see things the way he saw it at that particular time. So he tries his best to describe it so that we can have a picture of that thing in our mind as we are reading the poem. Do you get? Are we following?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I hope the person that asked is also following.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Fourthly, we have metaphor and simile. They are figurative languages. That's a figurative language. It's a language that is used to describe or convey a message in such a way that is different from the original meaning. You understand? When a writer tries to use a simile or a metaphor in his writing, that's his writing style. So he's not like he wants the reader not to see what he's trying to say firsthand, like literally. You understand? And fourthly, every poem comes with a structure that is written in form and in standard. You see poem standard one, standard two, standard three, and each standard now the form can be that for one standard can have 4 lines. That's the form. Hope you are understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The second standard can also have 4 lines. So poems follow that structure. You cannot say, okay, the poet started writing the first standard and it was 6 lines, and then the next standard it will be 2 lines. It's not that. That's not a poem. A poem has to follow a particular structure. That if your standard one is coming in 4 lines, your next standard must be 4 lines too. That's following a particular structure. That's one of the elements of poetry. Hope I've explained it to your understanding.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Ah,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Any
Yes,
other
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
question?
Yes, ma.
Okay.
Ma, please, what's the difference between imagery and symbolism?
Okay. Imagery is just like the word, your imagination. Like what you are imagining, what as you are reading the book, what you are now thinking, like if the writer is talking about like the way you mentioned Robinson Crusoe now, you will know that
Yes,
is a man. So if
yes,
it's a historical event, you try to picture people in the ancient. If they are talking about the Roman Empire, the writer will try to be putting things in your head, and then you now be like, okay, they're talking about maybe the palace. You try to picture what the palace is about. When you
yes.
see beautiful things, that's imagery. Trying to create pictures. Meanwhile, symbolism now. So it's things now. Okay, like if you talk about crown,
Yes,
crown symbolizes what?
royal.
Royalty. You get?
Yes, ma.
Crown symbolizes, like it's just little elements in a prose. Those things, those how will I put it now? Um I like some items mentioned
Okay,
in a particular literal text. What those things symbolizes. Some things now can symbolize power, like a
okay,
particular can symbolize power, can symbolize royalty. So imagery and symbolism are two different things.
okay, ma.
Any other question? Any other question? Hello, no response. So can we all hear me?
Yes, ma.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Any other question? Is there any other thing you want me to elaborate on?
Ma, is it only literature we are doing today?
Yes, it's just literature we have on Thursdays.
Ma, are you not going to ask this question?
You said?
Are you going to ask this question?
No, no. I hope everybody was following. I believe everybody was following this class, despite
Yes, ma'am.
the little glitches here and there. But I just believe everybody followed the class. But definitely in our
Yes,
next
ma'am.
class, I will ask questions. I like the way almost everybody asked questions. That means you were following, so there's not really anything to ask. We're all following. You asked, and we cleared up some things. Okay, since that's cleared, um, I don't recognize everybody's voice, but I want someone to, since the time is not yet up. I hope we really understood this class. So, hope we really understood everything that was taught today.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I want someone to explain to me what they understand in their own words. So, what rhythm and meter is. Hello. Can we hear me? Are you all hearing me?
Yes, Mike, I hear you.
Yes.
Okay. I said no other questions, Abby.
No, ma.
All right. You said
No questions, ma.
No, man.
no questions. All right. I wanted someone to explain in their own words what rhythm and meta, what they actually think it is, and to give me examples. I'm not getting any feedback. Oh,
In my own words, so I'll
yeah.
define that rhythm and method.
Mm,
You said the pattern of sounds, like how the sounds, like maybe in a poetry or something like that. When you are reading it, the
okay.
pattern of sounds it brings out, or
Okay.
like the A B or something like that. The last words that, this kind of, I don't know how to explain. Sha.
Not really last words. Like it could be repetition of a particular alphabet in a standard or in a line. You get where we see the ending of a word is in rhythm. Rhythm appears at the end of the word, like gloom, like moon. You get you get the rhythm at the end of the word, at the end of the line. Why rhythm? I hope I'm not mixing it up. Rhyme is sound, correspondence of sound that is gotten at the end of the word. Why rhythm is gotten like in between, like letters can be repeated. You understand?
Yes, ma.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So at this point, I guess everybody understands what the foundations of literary studies is about, what it entails from the definition of literary studies to the roles of literature in the society to the genres of literature, what each genres are and what they are made up of, and what literary appreciation is and its importance. Moving on to the tools, and then when you are given a particular or you pick up a particular text, what your mind goes to is how to classify the book or the text. You can either classify it as a prose or a drama or a poetry. You can do that easily, right? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I guess we've used our time well, and we have come to the end of this class.